Are we here? Is it live?
Are we live? Is this on?
Okay. Is this thing on? I'll be here all week, people.
I'm not in my studio today. I got kicked out by my wife.
But it just goes to show.
Yeah. So I'm trying the mobile app again for Riverside with my setup. I'll take a picture so that John can put it up on the screen of my stand all in one thing with my light.
Ooh, I have a little inside Riverside.
Ooh, do tell.
But I don't
Let's
think
go.
I can. I
What
don't
you
know if
got?
I can. I don't know if I can.
Do I
I
have
have
to
to read
kill
the
you?
email real quick. Let's jump right in. What happened last week? What's going on, yo? What are we doing? What's the news?
Well, I had my first Riverside glitch. It was, yeah. So I've been waiting for it because I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, that I have not lost any recordings. And this is something I wanted to talk about because there have been a few discussions come up in some of the groups, in multiple groups I'm a part of online, about people being upset with their recording platform because it doesn't work as expected. And I figured that would be a good thing to discuss anyway.
Let's do it.
Well, right? It all boils down to like technology moving super fast, trying to expand, right? Doing more and maybe not better. I don't know, right? Like I love Riverside. Just full disclosure. I love Riverside, changed the game, for me and this, the Heartcast media not having a brick and mortar studio. This is the next best thing. It's opened up our client base. We're literally producing podcasts around the world right now because of Riverside's
Well, let's go deeper because there's a lot of things that have to let you do streaming like this. But what makes Riverside different first?
Okay, I might be a little petty for this, but this gray background, love that shit. Like I love it. I
Dark
painted my
mode.
bedroom
It's
this
little
color.
things.
I've
It's
painted
little
every
things.
studio I've ever had this same color because you know what? Video looks better on charcoal gray, which
Yes.
is why their backdrop is not black. It's charcoal gray, right? I love that I have the ability to put a logo at the top, which nobody can see right now. But for all of my clients, I'm able to create a studio for them and put their logo at the top. And most importantly, it's not Zoom. It's not StreamYard. It's not anything that most people have access to, even though anybody can get a Riverside account. But you have to have an enterprise account to be able to put the logo. So for them, it just reinforces why it's valuable to work with Heartcast Media because they have their own branded studio, and when their guests come to be on their show, it's something different they've never seen before, and their logo's at the top. And so it's the whole Trello board, right? It's just reinforcing that you made a good decision by working with us. Because we have an enterprise account, we have special support there, and so anytime we've emailed them, we've gotten a response super quickly, and anytime we've had an issue with a file, wonky stuff has happened, we've been able to recover every single one. Even the ones that we thought were impossible, they somehow recovered and we were good.
Yeah.
But I understand that my experience is not the same with everybody. I don't know what it is because we've done Matt can't respond, but I feel like we've been with Riverside for a year now.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure. A year's worth of recordings, doing lots of client calls. We've done hundreds of recordings with them, and we have
same.
25 studios in our lineup.
I don't have as many studios or as many clients as you, but I've done hundreds and hundreds of recordings with them. So
right, and had no issues. So I'm of course, my opinion is going to be a little bit biased, right? Because they've always come through. Now, at the same time, I've also told them, you guys are moving too fast and you're killing my fucking labor costs because you keep changing stuff and you're not giving us the time to react to it. And so we're trying to use the tools that we use in our business every week, but they change. And then there's a adjustment period and you guys are rolling out too many things too fast. And so I guess that's part of the challenge is when you get to millions of dollars, right, or whatever they got funded by, the instinct is to grow, which is great. But if you're growing too fast, you got to think about how that's impacting the people that are using your platform. And if you're changing the way that platform works, then everybody who's using it for business has to retrain their staff every single time you do that. And it's brutal on the end user. So while innovation and all of that seems amazing, it's also exhausting for the people who are actually using it day in and day out.
especially with no heads up.
And built systems for it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it doesn't work that way. When they took the timer away for a few weeks
That's
there.
a huge deal.
Bro, what are you
But they
doing?
put it back.
They put it back.
After
because they probably had
we
enough
complained about
people.
it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure lots of people did, but I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
I
killing
did.
my labor costs, dude. This isn't impacting my bottom line. At the end of the day, this is a business tool, you know? So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of lessons in there. I think everybody there is super nice. I think
Yeah.
they're all really good, well-intended people. There's a great guy named Gabe there who's the success director, but I called him the happiness manager. And he was like, I'm asking them to rename my title to the happiness manager. And I was like, whatever, that's cool. But, you know, like he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He talked to Paula from Just Busters and like dove into her account and tried to fix it. And like what they've learned from what happened there, they're actually able to make a bunch of changes because a lot of people
Cool.
are being impacted that way. So yeah, I mean, it's technology, right? At the end of the day, it's technology. It's like,
So, Marcus, from your side of it, what makes Riverside different than the other? There's a ton of these things out there.
Right. So, being an audio engineer, obviously the quality of the audio matters to me. And there are other services that I steered away from because I tried it myself, but I also heard lots of stories about drift issues, which means like each person ends up with a different length file when you put them all together. But
right.
I don't know how technical we want to get with the way these type of platforms work, but basically what we're doing right now, which we are using Riverside, I'm on my phone. You guys are on your computers because I'm on my phone because I got kicked out of my normal setup because my wife's event thing. But Riverside is the only one, as far as I know, that actually has their own app to do this with.
Which, by the way,
yeah,
Team Android, just saying.
Yes,
Just saying.
yes, and it works.
It's coming.
Yes. It's
right now it's only iPhone.
It's only
but it's
iPhone,
coming.
but it is coming for Android, which that's a whole other thing too. Like just
And
to develop.
Microsoft Teams.
Nice. Is that
Gang. Let me make sure. No, Microsoft Edge.
Edge? Okay,
Microsoft Edge,
so
not
it'll
Teams.
work in another browser. That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Microsoft Edge still is not the best browser. But anyway, the only other service I could use on an iPhone is Cleanfeed. Cleanfeed works on Android or iOS, whatever. It just works in your web browser. But Cleanfeed to me has the best audio, but it does not have video. They prioritized audio, which is great for me, but none of my clients want that. All of my clients want to be able to at least see, even if they're not recording video. But the big differentiator with Riverside is they have always been recording video first. Like other platforms, you've been able to see the person, but Riverside was the first one to offer the video recording aspect for each individual person. Other people have now added that. Riverside is still the cheapest option.
They are.
And anecdotally, from the people that I know that I've interacted with, and from my personal experience, it seems like they are also the most reliable. I cannot quantify that definitely. I just seem to have heard more problems with certain other platforms than Riverside. And I love the people at all these places are great. Like the SquadCast people, huge shout out to them. They're also, they've got a great
SquadCast, yeah.
They've got a great community manager, Ariel Nissenblatt. I interact with her a lot on social media, and Zach and Rock. Is that his name? I can't.
I don't know.
Anyway, the guys at Cleanfeed are awesome. I've talked to them at events. They're all good people. Their service is also fantastic. But if you want to record video, it is significantly more expensive, and they own up to that.
When they didn't even have it at first, because we looked at all those. Because when we closed down our brick and mortar studio, that was the whole thing. Because we were using Switcher Studio with the iPhones and switching cameras that way, and then we had to go to remote. And Zoom was like the best gig in town. And then we, heard about Cleanfeed and SquadCast, but they just didn't do video. And so they just weren't an option for us.
Right.
All of our clients do video.
So what neither of you mentioned, I'm surprised because I thought this was the thing, but maybe there's other platforms that do it, was the fact that it records everything that each one of us is doing locally on our ends.
Right.
And it uploads it later.
So that's the technical
video
stuff.
Video feed goes down, audio feed goes down, gets a little wonky, whatever. The end result is being recorded here. not locally, it's still on the cloud, but it's doing each one of our streams individually on our own network and then beams it up instead of the stream being the integral recording.
Right. So this is the thing that I wasn't sure if we wanted to get technical on, but it is important to understand, especially people that are using it and the people that are getting upset because it's not functioning how they thought. Like you're saying, this actually is recording on each of our devices.
Now, is that unique? Does no one else do that?
No, it is not unique.
No.
It's
SquadCast and Cleanfeed do it too.
no,
Okay.
Cleanfeed does not.
Okay.
SquadCast does, Zencaster does, Ringer
Okay.
does. Like all of the other services except for Cleanfeed work this way, where they're recording on each of our devices and uploading as we're talking. They're uploading the files to the cloud, and so that your team can download them later to edit them, and each person has their individual track. With Zoom, it's really, really, and it's uncompressed audio wave files. It is high quality, high definition. Whatever your camera is giving is what it records. The highest fidelity. So like, I've got a 4K camera. I don't know if it's recording in my iPhone, but most internal laptop cameras are 720p, but it's high definition. Whereas Zoom, it's dumbing it way down. Like it's compressing the signal, and the audio is like very, very, very bad in Zoom.
Very bad.
Yeah. So these services, and that's where the drift issue comes in that I mentioned earlier, where since it's recorded on each of our devices, each of our devices might record at a slightly different sample rate or whatever. It's not exactly the same, so they might just be a couple seconds off after about 45 minutes, which is usually isn't a big deal, and you can compensate for. But some of the other services, I have heard there are glitches where it's like a minute difference by the end. Like it's and I won't mention this. It's not
crazy.
SquadCast. They haven't had that big of a problem as far as I know, but some of the other ones I've heard that, and so I have avoided those.
Well, we definitely have had issues with like our videos and audio like being slightly off sync. But then what we did is we reached out to them and they like resynced our studio. They like did something to our studio.
Interesting.
And then our recordings were okay. And so I know that other people have had those same issues. And so I think what it is when they're doing all these updates, like that you have to, it's like, you have to reboot your computer. Did you turn it off and back on?
Right.
Again? But it's like, there's truth to that, but it's something that they have to do. It's kind of like when Comcast or whoever resets your modem from their end.
Yep.
They had to do that, and it was like reactivating these new settings. But I think a lot of people got lost in the lurch, if you will, lost in the sauce because they weren't able to get their studios zapped like that, and so they were having ongoing issues. Because Matt was having issues for a couple weeks, and he told me about it, and I was like, well, let's reach out because that's got to be a thing. And then they were able to fix it. And so I think part of that is like being fortunate enough to be able to reach out to them and having, with an enterprise account, you have a dedicated support team.
I don't have that with my just $20 a month or $15 a month.
But I will say
thing.
this. I will say this. In talking with Gabe at Riverside, he was like, hey, like, we love you. We appreciate you. But like, we do not prioritize enterprise accounts. And you guys are few and far between. And the majority of our users are the regular users. And so those are the ones we're trying to satisfy. And I was like, that's cool. I like to hear that you're not giving us special treatment. I just think that maybe we're getting closer to the front of the line by having an enterprise account where other people might be 10,000 people deep or whatever. But they, I found it very impressive that they were like, we're not treating the enterprise accounts differently. We did not build this system for enterprise accounts. We built it for the average user, and that's who we want it to be effective for. So I respect that for sure.
Yeah. And to your point,
So Marcus, what was your experience this past week?
Right. So this, I think, is an ongoing problem with a new client of mine who either has a bad internet service because he did like a speed test thing, and so this is what I was getting at earlier with understanding how these systems work with their uploading recording locally, uploading the video files. No matter which one of these systems you're using, even Cleanfeed, you have to have a healthy computer. You have to have a healthy internet connection. And the chances of that happening 100% of the time, even in my house where I pay attention to this stuff and understand it more than, because I'm a nerd, more than most other people, especially a lot of the guests I deal with, it still is not going to happen 100% of the time. So my client, he has a Comcast internet connection outside of Philadelphia, and home base of Comcast, so you'd think you'd have a good connection. 250 megabits down, 5 megabits up. Something is not
That's like
right.
Costa Rican numbers right there.
Right. So something is not right with either his wiring or his modem or something. So that's the first problem. The second problem is I think there's something up with his computer because it just kind of freezes. And we did 3 of them. And then, of course, the one where I wasn't there, they did 2 recordings and the second one didn't upload and it got lost. But we still have the backup because Riverside records the actual stream in the audio and the video. I'm only worried about the audio for this guy. He's not using the video. So the audio stream was actually fine. But I don't have discrete tracks. Both he and his guest are on the same thing. So I'll have to, fix it, but it's not lost for eternity.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're using technology, you got to make sure your technology is up to par.
Yeah.
You can't be going into your battle with a lightsaber that's not fully charged.
Exactly. And I think he's done everything right as far as the system. He might just have a process that's hung on his Mac, or there's no telling what could go wrong.
Because the other thing is you have to have a specific amount of memory on your computer because it is saving your files onto your computer while you're talking. And so if you don't have don't have enough sufficient data memory, it's just going to stop.
And that has happened to me. There was an old elderly couple in the UK and their MacBook Air was maxed out, and in the middle of the recording, it just stopped. And it gave us a big alert on my producer screen that the guest ran out of RAM. So luckily they had an IT person that could remote in and deleted some stuff, and we could finish the interview and I could piece it together. But yeah, again, that's not Riverside's problem. That's the end user thing. And there's a lot of these people that get frustrated about the system because they don't understand how complicated it is. And it's amazing that it works so well as often as it does and doesn't die as often, as it should.
Or that it produces such a good result with so many people not using microphones and not using headphones and not,
And this isn't just Riverside. This is all of these services.
All of them.
Yeah. And no matter what service you go with, you are going to encounter problems. And there are going to be some people that have more problems on one service than another, and another service is going to work. And that's what I wanted to get at with this, is all these people that are choosing to abandon these systems without understanding all of the problems that are going on that are causing it. They could end up just taking that same problem to the next service, and it's not specifically the service, or they could just end up having better luck with the other service, whereas I hear other people have worse luck with, So none of these systems I feel like are necessarily better, like reliability-wise. It all comes down to the producer or the person running the show, being able to deal with problems as they arise.
Well, and setting expectations, right? Like you gotta. I'm always amazed at how much people are willing to spend for a branded podcast and then don't invest in a microphone. I'm like, why are you spending $10K on this thing if you're not going to buy a microphone?
Is there also an argument that we made where you can? I know that I could record like myself going into like you are probably, Marcus, into a mix pre or to a roadcast or whatever, and you're recording me and Molly on the same track coming back
exactly as a backup.
That's definitely worth something, having that extra backup in case all hell breaks loose.
Yes.
Is there any way to record each one of our 3 on separate channels?
There is, but that requires me telling you how to open an app on your computer if you don't already know how to do that. And you have to hit record on your end and then send me the files. And Molly has to hit record on her end and send me the files. And then I have to make sure everything lines up.
But there's no hardware device. There's no outside of your computer device.
No.
You can't do it through loopback audio?
The only way I've heard of somebody doing it, Dan Benjamin at 5x5.tv network, podcast network, he used to have separate Mac Minis into a mixer, and he would input.
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Exactly. He doesn't do that anymore, but that's how he used to get discrete channels when he'd have more than 2 people. Because if it's just me and me and one person, that's no problem. There's 2 discrete channels right there. But as soon as you get more than one person, somebody's going to end up being combined on the same channel via internet or otherwise, unless you bring them in on a separate computer and all this stuff. And he was using Skype back then. This was before Riverside. This was like, 10 years ago or whatever. Not fun.
Well, in other news, I just came up with a new dating app for truckers. It's called 2discretechannels.com.
That's a big 10-4.
Big 10 for Roger Dulcher.
What's your 20?
2 discrete channels. I love that. I'm here for it. Seriously, that's great. 2 discrete channels.
Oh, Molly.
Adam looks like he hates both of us right now. I don't know what
He's
to
probably
say.
Googling to see if the
It's just too
domain's
good of an
available.
idea. I was going to say we should just change the whole, just shift the whole idea of the podcast. Like, it should just be about developing this app now.
It should be what? All what?
Just about developing this app. 2 discrete channels.
2 discrete channels. Seriously.
Forget podcasting.
I'm
Let's
all in.
become app developers.
I mean, truckers are lonely, you know,
yes, they are.
They're out there. They're on the road.
on the road.
Speaking of truckers, like since we deal with audio, did you guys realize that the souped up radios they use have like echo and reverb and stuff you can add to your voice? So that
That's awesome.
they like add
There's so
all these
little
effects.
we know about the whole trucker life.
Breaker,
The
breaker,
trucker life-
19.
That's right.
I mean, when I found out that there's a whole bedroom in the back of these cabs, it blew my mind.
Where do
It
you
blew my
think,
mind that
no, I was going to make a really inappropriate joke.
Yeah,
We don't need to go too deep into that, but
Nope.
it's remarkable.
Yes, it is.
It is.
The trucker lifestyle, out on the road.
It is. So I used to have a 1985 Chevy Blazer K5 Silverado edition where you could take the top off. I think I told you about this before. And
Not
you
me.
would, like,
What color?
Probably in one of
it-
these
it took, like-
mushroom infused adventures, or
AKA
something
my
like
20s.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it was like it had this fiberglass top you could take off the
Yep,
back, but it
yep.
took like 5 people. But like you would always get like fiberglass in your hands because it was so old. But it had a CB radio in it, and I drove across country with my boyfriend, and we would be like, "Breaker, breaker, 19. This is Lincoln Logs coming in." You know, we were trying to get people to talk to us, and no one would ever talk to us. It
Never?
was never. I was like, "Can you hear me?
Could you hear
What
them?
is happening?" Yeah.
So they just ignore
Never
you.
reply.
They just would. They were
Snobs.
they were like ghosting me like it was Tinder. You know what I mean? They were like, yeah, no, not happening,
Audio tender.
man. But you know, what are you gonna do? Story of my life, guys. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think technology is a real Mickey Flicky, and I think you just got to roll with the punches and not get too hemmed up on it, right? Because I feel like all these things we're saying, you can say about all this equipment in your space, right? There's people who are probably like hardcore, like, no, this mixer or this keyboard or this
Yep.
all day.
this DJ.
If you don't have this microphone, then you're an idiot.
Right.
Behringer
And-
stuff is the best, right, Adam?
Yeah, Behringer.
You get
They
it
got the
every day.
shelf
I got
life of
evangelists.
an orange
I got people that's, this is the best thing ever.
for 59 days until the warranty runs out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a crazy thing, yeah. Okay, so totally off topic, but there's this show that I was watching on Netflix last night called Swap Shop.
So I have not seen that.
Super obsessed with this show. Okay. So it's a radio show that's been going on since the 1950s. So we're talking about
Cool.
CB radios, communication, right? This is all kind of relevant, but it's
Yeah.
called Swap Shop. And it's this radio show that's been going on for 50 years. It's in like Tennessee or some shit. And it comes on every morning at 9:30. And it's brilliant. Okay, so people call in and they say, I got a 1987 trailer hitch, whatever. I got clothes, I got, old radios, I got whatever I'm trying to sell, swap, or trade, whatever the deal is, right? And so they air this thing every morning. People call in, and then people rush around and they go buy stuff, old cars, old whatever.
We got to
It's-
send Marcus on the adventure.
Yeah,
no.
if it's here in Tennessee, yeah.
Listen in, Marcus.
Oh my God,
we want you
Marcus.
to give us on the road real time reporting.
Dude,
Find us
seriously.
some weird shit.
You could probably find like all kinds of crazy like mixers and
Yeah.
or like tube radios, right? Like
Camera
I
stuff.
don't-
I'm getting into camera stuff now too.
camera
so.
stuff. But you should check it out. But I just love the power of the communication. It's so simple,
Yeah.
right? People call in and
Yeah.
they're like, "I got this tractor on my property for 20 years," and then some asshole will come buy it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, this low key tech that's been in existence for 50 years.
Yeah.
Power of voice audio, man. You guys got to check out the show. The show itself is not that great, but the fact that the existence of this like swap shop radio show that's been around for 50 years, I'm like fascinated by it, man.
Yeah.
It would only work in a small town. Otherwise people would be getting shot. I was like, would this work in DC? I was like, no. You have to live in a town that has like 400 people. I'm pretty
They come
sure
just take your stuff.
And you know them all.
Yeah, you're like, I got this. And they're like, you hear someone banging on the door like immediately. Give me all your stuff.
I heard I was outside your house. I heard this on the radio.
That's right. You can hear the swap shop radio coming through a transistor on your front porch. You're like, honey, they're here, But, yeah, man, the power of radio, the power of voice. But I think technology is just whack, yo. And like, I'll tell you what, when I got on Facebook, I only did it because I was doing social media for a company, and they would change the rules all the time. And I just got really good at adapting to how Facebook worked all the time. And people were like, "Oh, Facebook sucks." I'm like, "No, it's just different than it was a week ago. You just got to stop getting pissed off about it and just figure out how they're doing it this week.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up." And I just think, no disrespect to anybody who's having problems on Riverside, but it's like, I don't think, I think they're the best out of everybody out there, right? But I think that at the end of the day, the technology is ultimately the same. It's about how much funding they have to hire more employees or investigate more opportunities. But at the end of the day, the technology is the exact same. Nobody's reinventing the wheel here.
Right.
I don't think.
I think it comes back to like a lot of things we talk about, but like you just got to be you got to be ready to do. And like Riverside might not exist tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you can't bank. Like you can like find the tool that works for you and know how to use it, but you can't be beholden to the tool. I was thinking about this because I heard someone brought it up the other day. And I was like, oh, that's still a thing. Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Like
I saw somebody tweeted.
that we had whole sessions exclusively just talking about Clubhouse. When's the last time anyone mentioned Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Well, she
Like if you bank
podcasts.
your business on it, you know what I mean? Like, so just to say, like, you got to be ready to move. Okay, it's at Facebook. Is okay,
MySpace.
Instagram, Riverside, SquadCast. Like, you got to know enough
Instagram,
about all
Reels.
these different things to like, if it shifts, if the world goes back and we're not streaming, we're doing something else, or it doesn't accept the new camera, or it doesn't work with the new chip in the computer, like. You got a job to do, and you got people that rely on it. Like, you got to be ready to do something.
This is super valuable, I feel like, for a lot of people, because there are so many people, like Evo Terra just did this whole thing on how he paid somebody money to do Facebook ad campaigns for him. And he's on Facebook, but he doesn't spend any time there. It was a disaster, of course. He knew it would be, but he's like, just did it to show this guy, what you're saying is not valid for everybody. Anybody who's invested into one platform like this, and if I use Riverside as a tool, but when it comes to like meeting with people and stuff like that, you're right. Like I can switch to Cleanfeed today. I can switch to Zencaster. I can switch to SquadCast. Whatever. I can even do it on Zoom if I needed to.
We've even jumped into Zoom.
You were on you thought you were Zoom, and then you went to Google Meets. Like you just got to be you got to be able to adapt to any of these things because the business is going to exist beyond the platform.
Right. But especially when you're dealing with the social media place where you're reaching out to people, the broader audience to grow your business. If you're invested in one thing and you're like, and especially if your business is helping people buy ads and stuff just on Facebook, that's not sustainable long term.
They
like
just
make the money while you can,
thing. They just burn that whole thing because you can't track anyone anymore. So like it always changes.
Yeah.
And you can't be beholden to one thing. You got to be ready to move. You got to know how to record local. You got to go online. You got to know how to do it here and there, and you got to know how to do it in a cornfield or in your basement.
Right.
Like you got to know shit's gonna go down. And who are you going to call? Ghostbusters, which comes out this Thursday, and I'm going to be seeing it.
Oh, wait, there's a new Ghostbusters?
Yeah. Awesome. All the haters are like criticizing.
It's not going to be good, but
yeah. No, it's going to be fun.
Well, it can't be as bad as the last Ghostbusters, and everybody was like, wait,
everyone
them are
hates on the
women.
girl
They
one,
can't
and
be
you know what?
Ghostbusters.
If you know the Ghostbusters, it's the same damn movie as the first two movies, same fucking movie, same lines and everything.
I
And
watched
you know
the
what?
Karate Kid remix on Netflix.
This is just going to be a better produced version of it. It's the same damn thing.
Better special effects.
But they all came back for it, and everyone respects it, and that's why it's going to be more money.
Right.
But I'm in.
Yep.
Sex in the City is coming back, but I'm not sure.
They're all coming back. There are no new ideas anymore.
No.
My client
know.
who had the problem was on Sex in the City.
I'm trying to live my life like, what's her name? the slutty one. That's my goal in life.
Samantha, why do I know that?
I know.
I do.
Because
And that's all we got for today's show, people.
And here we are. See you next week.
Next week, there'll only be one piano again instead of two pianos.
Oh, I know. What the fuck? Oh, no, that's actually a Hurlitzer in the back there.
Oh, you have a Wurlitzer?
No, I said a
Okay.
Hurlitzer.
Dueling pianos.
Yeah, it's the generic Wurlitzer. It's hidden behind these drawers. That's it's the Shurlitzer because that's hilarious. Yeah. What a life, man. What a life. But I mean, it's all about bobbing and weaving, man. If you don't have a plan B, C, D, E, and
Right.
F, man, you can stop at E, but then you're gonna be F'd, okay? Because if
I'm
there's
on plan
one thing,
like J at this point.
right? I mean,
That's the line. If you ain't got A, B, C, D, E, you gonna be F.
you're gonna be F. You can write
That's our
that shit down.
soundbite right there.
Take that, soundbite that. That's the soundbite. Roll it. Run your ads on that.
Hey,
that is
man.
the whole jam.
I'm the funniest when I sound like I'm from the South. It's my
That is
shtick.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
You gonna be F.
If you don't have A, B, C, D, and E, you gonna be effed, you know? But for real though, right? Like if you don't, you gotta know how to bob and weave, and you're like, okay, that shit's not working. We're not gonna focus on what's not working. We're gonna focus on how to make it work.
Yep.
Well, I mean, how many times have
Always.
I called Adam from under the table like, hey,
Yo, how's it work?
it's working, and you're like,
everything and plug this in instead.
try this
You
other
gotta
plug,
know.
and I'm like, gotta go, you know? Like, it
I don't
worked.
know how to do shit. I don't know how to do any of these things. You just gotta figure out a way. All of it.
Yep.
All the time. Love it. That's it.
Right.
And you got to
Like,
have somebody you can call when you can't figure it out. That's
Or
the other
even
thing.
if, you know what, even if you gotta wing it, right? Like I was
Or know enough to wing it.
Yeah.
know enough to wing it, or bring the right equipment. That's why you should always bring 2 of every cord,
Yes.
and you should bring 2 of everything you're bringing on the
Yes.
job. Bring 2 of them. Bring extra batteries. Fresh batteries should always be in your supply pack. And like I was just saying about this because we're doing a gig for the government, you know, tomorrow for DOES, and you know we're talking about where it is, and I'm like, yeah, the Rayburn building is a perfect example. It's like downtown DC. It's where everything happens, and there's certain rooms where they have like the DI box, and you can plug right in, so you can be in the back of the room with audio going into your feed, and like you're good to go. Other rooms, you got to have like a CNN press pass and shit and get pre-approval. And you're like, but I was just here last week, and they're like, different room today. Sorry.
Oh, man.
And so that happened to me. I was filming something for the Iranian Council, and I was like trying to get in, and the guy was trying to help me. And I'm like, where's the DI box? He's like, I don't know. And then he called. He's like, oh, it's because you're supposed to, you're not even supposed to be here. And I was like, my bad, you know? And he let me stay, but I just had to pull out my Zoom P whatever, you know what I mean, and throw it on the table. And the audio recording wasn't great, but at the end of the day, I was still able to deliver to the client something
Right.
that wasn't just video with no sound. Was it perfect? No. Did I still get paid? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, did they have a recording they could use? Yes. And
Yeah.
that's all that mattered, you know? So I think that's the lesson, right? Like, you can never get too hung up on anything because it's always going to change, especially now with the way technology. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that whole mindset of having backups for the backups and all that stuff comes from probably yours too, because we both come from the same event space,
Music
like
business.
doing music business stuff. Yeah. When I'm
Where
touring,
everything goes wrong.
yeah.
Guaranteed.
And
It's
I'm
not
on the other
if.
side of the country. If I don't have a spare cable, I'm screwed. And so
And Radio Shack closed down, so we're double screwed because Radio Shack, you could
So-
always pull a flim flam out of that
And
jammy jam, but
you have to spend $50 on a $4 cable.
doesn't
but
matter. You could get
You
it.
could get it.
That's it.
You-
That's why I sell. That's why that is the selling point on all these. Like you can, of course, you can always go USB into your computer, and sure, you can get it done.
Yeah.
Or you get a P4, you get a Roadcaster, you
Internal
get a
recording.
Mixper. You have to have something else
Yep.
for that backup recording for that rainy day when all hell breaks loose and the computer wasn't turned on, or your internet sucked, and everything was shitty.
Yep.
You got what you needed because you ain't going to get that person on the phone or whatever the next time around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't
No.
bank. You can't bank on the one. If you're in it for real, you only
only get one shot to blow.
And
Something. Mom spaghetti.
Just like on it tonight.
And along with what you were saying before, too, Molly, with you delivered, part of the appeal for hiring people like us and for working with retailers like Adam, and for using these services that we choose to stay with, is that feeling of trust and that we're supported. And so any of the services, I don't care how good the service is itself, if the customer support, whenever something does go wrong, if they don't help me in some way, or at least give me a reason to continue to trust them for the next time, I'm out. And that goes for my clients too. One of the reasons why I can charge so much is because I give them peace of mind. Like when I'm in the room, they know that it's taken care of. They don't have to worry about it. All they have to worry about are the words coming out of their mouth.
Which is a struggle all into itself sometimes.
For me, for
Speaking
sure.
personally, anyway. Yeah, I mean, you get what you pay for, right? And I think that says a lot about Riverside too, because every time I've reached out, they've been helpful. And then like the happiness director hit me up, Gabe, and I was like, hey, I set a meeting with him, and my only feedback was like, stop moving so fast, you're killing my labor costs.
Yes.
But then I advocated for some of the women in the Just Busters group, and I'm like, there's this woman named Paula Jenkins who's been having a hell of a time, and she wants to be loyal, but like, can you help? And he hit her up right away, and they got on a call, and she hit me up and was like, thank you so much. And he followed up with me and was like, thank you so much for connecting us. And like, it was giving us so much information that we really needed to know. And I've been taking this to the team. And so,
but like for Adam, for you, there are so many other places to go buy stuff. Your support and who you are, the people you have in the building, is probably one of the biggest differentiators for you, right?
That's the deal.
Yeah.
It's the deal. Mike's a mic, but who's going to help you plug in the cable?
Right.
You're not getting Adam Levin at Guitar Center. I'll tell you that right now. Never.
Not ever. Not ever.
Or Amazon, especially.
No.
Indeed. So I think the moral of the story is customer experience.
Yes.
Right? Because there's no musical note that's ever been played. There's no words never been written. There's no microphones never been sold. Well, that's not necessarily true. There's no microphones never been spoken on. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same bag, but it's how the people feel working with you, right? Like in business and in life and everything. It's like, how are you showing up to deliver whatever it is you got to deliver with it? That's personally, right.
Same thing for your
Everything.
podcast too. How are you showing up for your
How you
listeners?
showing up for your listeners, yeah. Gems, I tell you. Boom.
Gems, just dropping gems.
That's right. Hope
Another
the listeners
gem
are
filled
taking
week.
Hey,
notes.
do we have any new equipment to talk about this week? Anything happening in the son
Everything's
of
still on
a
a boat
bitch?
report.
Yeah.
Well,
But maybe next week.
we shipped our first microphone kit out this week, Adam Levin, to the
Sure did.
Atlantic Council, and they are super
sure
pumped
did.
about it.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. It's going to be
Awesome.
good. And it's actually getting sent to Abu Dhabi.
Good stuff.
So,
What?
Podcast Outfitters in
Cool.
Abu Dhabi.
That's awesome.
I know.
Let's go.
Worldwide.
Be worldwide.
That's right.
It
Global
is.
operation.
Indeed. I feel like there was something that I wanted to talk about, but I can't think about what it is right now. How come the Podcast Business Journal hasn't put anything out, or Pod News? Has Pod News gone dead air on us?
No, I got
I haven't
an
seen
email
it.
today.
Oh, maybe I just deleted it too soon. Anyway. Oh, here's one that we might have missed. Oh, this is super old. Podsites has terminated its contract with Libsyn's AdvertiseCast. That was from August.
Yes, this was during the break that we took. There was a lot of juicy
Then
stuff.
Libsyn
that
paid
happened
$147,000
that month.
penalty after failing to file
Yeah.
statements with the SEC.
Yeah, we missed all that stuff, but we can put links to
The
the stories
drama.
in the show notes.
Libsyn is like the
Detail for next
Dallas
time,
yeah.
of, you know what I mean? Like that really bad series.
Soap
They're like,
opera.
what's going on with Libsyn this week? Who's getting arrested this week?
Who shot Rob?
Oh my goodness. Ridiculous. Well,
Yeah.
guys, I'm excited about there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of new clients. There's a lot of new stuff happening. I'm launching I sent out an email. Did you guys get my email today? Yeah?
I did. I didn't read all of it yet.
Come on, man,
but
you should
I'm
hear
going
my
to.
voice in your head. You should just hear it when you read it. Did you get it, Adam?
It was long.
Are you not on my...
Maybe.
I sent out an email that said, hey, it's me. Sorry I disappeared. It said, sorry I disappeared on you.
Yeah.
You must
I don't
not. I
think I
will
saw
add
that
you
email.
illegally to my email list.
Do it.
Illegally.
I accept.
You
I
heard it here,
verbally
people,
accept.
when Adam sues me next year for adding him to his list.
You heard it.
So I've launched the personal brand. I'm building all my funnels, and so I wrote this engagement email that's like, hey, it's been a while. Actually, I've never emailed you because since I was formed Heartcast Media, I've been collecting email addresses and I've never emailed them.
I too have been collecting emails, and I think
Right.
I've emailed them once in the past
so
year
I
and a
s-
half. And that's the thing. If you're going to collect emails, you got to stay in
do
communication
something
with them.
it. So check it out. So
Yeah. So that's a good way to reinitiate
so I
the
sent out
contact.
this email just being like, hey, I don't want to be one of those people in your email inbox like abusing the privileges of all of that, but I'm starting this new newsletter. And long story short, I sent it to like 1,500 people. I've had 750 opens.
Nice. That's
Oh.
huge, especially for
nice.
after that long. Normally open
If
rate's
you're
like
lucky,
25%.
shit, I've had like 12%ers and
Yeah,
been like,
that's
my
big.
bad, I'm gonna go away. And so what I did is I sent out an email saying, hey, I've never actually done this, and I didn't want to be one of those yahoos in the pandemic, because I feel like in the pandemic I got added to every mailing list on the planet, and so I spent half my day.
Yep.
Did
yep.
we lose Adam? Or you're just not? Wow, you're just naturally
No, I
not
still got him.
moving at all. That was weird. You were like for a long time. And so I sent out this email just saying like, hey, I didn't want to be one of those people, but like I launched personal brand. And if you'd like to join the Heartcast Media newsletter, click here. And if you'd like to join the Molly Rowland newsletter, click here. And if you'd like both, they'll be different contact, click here. And if you want none of this, click here. And a majority of the people subscribed to both, which I
Nice.
did not see.
Again, it's because of who
coming.
you are.
Well, it's awesome, but it
That
sucks because now I got to
awesome,
write
yeah.
2 different fucking newsletters all the time. Shit.
You put it out there. Now you got to
Just
do
copy
it.
paste from both
But
of
it's
them.
pretty cool, man.
Just change the font. Just change the font
I'm
and the
in
colors.
there,
for
man.
different
Yeah, I
content.
said it would be different looking.
I said it'd
But
be
I'm pretty
different.
stoked because I wrote all these like nurturing campaigns like for the people that haven't and opened any of my emails, and I'm like, it's not you, it's me. Just kidding, it's you. Like I wrote some really snarky shit. I can't wait for those things to come out, But it's kind of interesting to see, right? It just goes to show you never know what you got. And I think the customer journey is so important. And I think actually opening these lines of communication and talking with people every week is going to be really good for everything, for business, for that personal connection with the company, all of that. But who
Yes.
knew? Who knew?
Yeah.
Email is still one of the best ways to stay in touch with people as long as you don't spam them. That means sending them emails without their permission. Because they signed up for your stuff at some point.
Oh yeah,
right?
no,
You
these are
didn't just
not.
steal people's
And
email.
well, this is why I
Yeah.
sent the initial email. I'm not putting you on a list. This was the self-sort option.
Right.
Because I don't want to be one of those people. You know what I mean? So like I'm giving everybody
Yep.
a chance to opt out. And then of course there's a bunch of unopened ones, and then I'm going to craft a similar post for social media, and I'm going to put that out on my personal Facebook page and put the links to subscribe to the different lists. And then I'll be curious to see from like the 1,500 emails compared to the like 7,000 people on my Facebook page. Who like,
Yep.
I wonder how many more subscribers I'll get from that versus the list. It'll just be interesting to look at all. I love all that data, all the analytics, but I think it's good, right? I think it's a good reminder, right? To focus on your customer journey, make sure that people understand the work you're doing. They're glad, they're excited to work with you. Even like Adam, the equipment I ordered from you, there was like, hey, we got the order. Hey, it's been shipped. Here's the tracking. Hey, it's been delivered. So like when I ordered it, I was able to forward that to the client, and they saw what they were getting and how much it cost and when to expect it and all that. And like that stuff really matters, right? Like it really really matters. So I think my biggest takeaway, right, is like Give Riverside, I almost said Libsyn, give Libsyn a break. Don't give Libsyn a break. You bust their chop. Give Riverside a chance. You know what I mean? Like, and focus on your customer journey, right? And how many times, right? I had a kind of a really negative experience recently, but I'm at the point in my self-discovery journey that when something irritates me now, the very first thing I do is think to myself, do I do that too? And the answer is always yes, which is super annoying. So
it's deep.
A friend of mine once said that if you find that everyone around you, or if you feel that everyone around you is an asshole,
you're the
maybe
asshole.
you're
Exactly.
the asshole.
Well, and not to say that, like, if you're pissed off at Riverside, that you're doing the same thing. But I do think it's an opportunity to look at you know what I mean? Like when I was feeling really messed up about spending this money and there was no onboarding and I was just feeling, and I was like, man, I wonder if my clients have ever felt this way. I wonder how I can improve upon the situation. I wonder how more communicative I can be, with my clients about what to expect in the process. And I think that's the lesson, right? It's not how you can fix your internal recording system, but like, what is Riverside doing, or what vendor are you using that you're not happy with? And then how can you implement that into your own business practices or your own personal life? How, you know what I mean? Because I really think at 46 years old, everything that pisses me off, it's because I do the same shit. People who interrupt me, I'm the biggest interrupter ever, dude.
I'm guilty
of that same stuff, man. It's all the same stuff. So,
yeah.
Sharpen those pencils, man.
That's it.
Take a lesson from Adam Levin. He's got the customer journey dialed in, man.
And still working
60 years later.
Got to do it better.
Well, that's the thing. It's a constant process, right? It's never
No, because there's
complete.
new technology and shit changes all the time.
And there's new people all the time,
or they're
too,
like
that you're dealing with.
Like
so,
little quirky pandemic hits.
Yep.
Or the shipping containers are stuck
supply
in the
chain
Suez
issue.
Canal.
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out.
Oof.
Well, on that note, here's figuring it out on the next episode of the Podcast Club. Oh, we should do sign language, right? Like Adam, you should do like T, and then Marcus, you should do the P, and then I'll do the C because it's the easiest one.
This way?
I think we're backwards. Yeah.
Am I back?
I don't know.